Hi, we're going to make a veal scallopini with a cognac demi-glace and mushrooms. And this is a very common item, and it is a sauteed item with a pan sauce, essentially. So this is what a saucier in a French restaurant would make. And what we're going to do is we're going to first cut our scallopini into proper portions and then pound it and then proceed with the saute. So you have to decide if you're going to have 2 or 3 scallopini per portion. So I'm going to have 3. So you cut them a little small. They don't get a lot of meat by weight, but it pounds out and it gets spreads out a little thinner. This is a cushion of veal or a top round of veal without the cat meat. It's very nice cut of meat. It's tender. It's also called an inside round, and it's inside the thigh is really where it is of the steer. And so we're gonna have that pan's gonna cook six portions. So we're gonna cut this up and make our 6 portions. And you know, these old Italian people, my grandfather and some of these butchers we used to know, they used to brag about, hey, you know, I don't even have to pound my veal. But you should cut it and then pound it a little bit to break up the fibrous tissue so it's very tender and that kind of thing. So let's sanitize the area a little bit, clean up the knife, wash the hands, and we'll proceed to pound the veal. So what's important here is not only the veal, but the sauce. So this sauce right here, this is a demi-glace. It's really not a demi-glace. That means half glaze, and it's made a certain way. This is a natural reduction. So this is all brown veal stock that is reduced probably about 24 hours of cooking time till it has this natural gelatin content, and it's might even be a little bit too reduced. So we'll have to probably thin it out with a little bit of water because that's what's evaporating when you cook it down. And it's like making maple syrup. You know, what, 40 gallons make 1 gallon? Same thing with this, you know, 40 pounds of bones make essentially 1 gallon, and that's with freshening it up with new meat and meat scraps or bones or whatever you have. So let's proceed to get our veal pounded, and so it doesn't need a lot. You can see some of the areas are kind of thin, and I cut against the grain for the most part, so it'll actually be very tender. It's a tender piece of meat anyway, and okay, get our hands washed up, and I like to pound between plastic and that kind of thing, and use the flat side of the pounder. That's for tenderizing, and that's just going to rip through the plastic, but it doesn't seem much. Doesn't take much. You just have to kind of shape your veal, and so this way you get good plate coverage. It'll be paper thin, be super tender, and everybody will love it. All right, so there we go for that. And so we take this off, and we should season it up. Okay, a little pepper. Gotta go, you know, up high and to the side so it spreads out a little bit. You don't want any clumps of pepper, that kind of thing. So our pan is near ready. All right, let's crank that up. All right, so we're gonna brown butter. We're gonna do a combination of butter and olive oil. You don't need a lot of fat. I'm not gonna dredge. I didn't mention, but I should mention that I'm not gonna dredge in any flour or anything like that. And so you don't need that if you're going to eat it right away, or, you know, a la carte situation, you're sending it right out. So that's going to absorb a lot of extra fat, and that's a protective coating, helps keep it moist. If you were doing a banquet or something like that, I would probably do the flour dredging. But for a quick a la minute, you know, so So when the foam subsides, you really can't see it, but when the foam subsides, you're going to have brown butter, and then we're going to add our veal, and then it's going to go very quickly here. So, so right about now, so just kind of position that away from you. Now this is paper thin, it's going to cook quick. And I'll proceed to make the sauce. I'll hold this veal in a 250-degree oven. Just hold it warm, okay? It's going to cook all the way here in the pan. And we got one extra for the chef to taste. All right, so let's wash up. All right, salt everywhere. Okay, let's get that flipped over. All right, when they don't have really good color, but I'm cooking on as high heat as I can. When the juice comes through the other side like that, it's definitely time to flip. Okay. Okay, we're recovering our heat now, and then that's it. Okay, we want to reserve some of that juices and fat to cook our shallots, right? Chopped shallots and mushrooms. And throw a couple sprigs of thyme in there, right? And put this in our 250-degree oven, hold it, and let that cook. Spread it out in the pan so it cooks nice. And you want to cut your mushrooms thin for this because you can see I have this yellow flame. It's not as hot as a blue flame. I gotta make an adjustment on this oven. So anyway, so that's cooking, and we're going to wait for them to be a little bit tender. Then we're going to deglaze with our Italian brandy and our demi-glace. Back to this demi-glace. We call it liquid gold in the industry. If you make it properly, it comes out to be like at least $100 a gallon. And if you need more fat, you could add a little more fat. But like I said, you don't want to keep this that fatty. If I had this veal dredged, I would have used a lot more fat. Okay, so the shallots are done. You don't want to burn them. A lot of those thyme leaves will fall off anyway. Okay, freshens it up. You don't serve them. That's just to cook. So when you deglaze, you should pull away. All right, pull the pan away. Get some brandy in there, and be careful. All right, always makes a good show. That's why it was done in the dining room. All right, so that'll help the cooking. Get your demi-glace in there. There we go. And let that cook. So this is almost done. That's just some like grease splattering there that makes it kind of flame up like that. And that's pretty thick. I can tell the way it's boiling. So remember I said you want to create an optimum of flavor, color, and consistency. So we're going to add a little bit of water, and because consistency is too reduced if it's too thick, and color is too brown. This is a nice rich color, and flavor could be too bitter if it's too reduced. So this is what they call a mother sauce, and now I'm making a pan sauce, which is a derivative sauce, and like I said, it's a cognac. Now that's done. So we'll go ahead and get our veal out of the oven. And this little juice here, don't waste it. That's from the residual that came off. Take our plate and take our veal. See, 3 portions is enough. That's all you get. Probably only about 3 ounces of meat, maybe 4. Okay, and okay, let's get that sauce melted off. Let's get a little bit more water. Thin as in, I don't want it too thick, right? And don't serve the thyme sprig. A lot of those leaves came off, right, like that. All right, we're gonna get that out of there. Try not to make a mess. Try not to over sauce. That's it. And wipe up, and you have another thyme sprig there. Little continuity of garnish, and that's really it right there. That's your veal and cognac mushroom demi-glace. Let's give this a taste. Cuts like butter. Put a mushroom on there. Absolutely delicious. And so I'm Chef Jeff Trombetta, and thank you for watching.